live on our reading tonight. It's just after 9 o'clock. Let me see, it's 9:06, 21:06, whichever way you want to look at it. Central Time, USA, Canada, etc. It has been, needless to say, a busy day. I didn't get distracted and going off into something else. No, it's just been an extremely busy day. I just came off a Zoom meeting, and before that was an in-person meeting somewhere else in the Woodlands. Before that was a Zoom meeting. Earlier was an in-person meeting, so it has been a busy day. But you don't want to hear about that. You hopefully want to hear about the reading. So we're going to get right down to it. We're going to do the reading, and then we'll talk a little tiny bit about it, because I still have 2 more things to get done before I go to bed tonight. So if you'll excuse me, it will not be a long session, but it hopefully will be a good one. The class that I'm actually in is called Self-Mastery, which is where I've been for the last couple of hours, actually. And it's today's class was kind of related to the reading. It's called Actualize Embodied Freedom. Actualize Embodied Freedom. First quote is from a lady called Stephanie Lahart, and she actually is quite an interesting character. She is, hang on a second. Well, she's an American author. She helps a lot of kids. She's African American. She is based in, I think, somewhere up in the Pacific Northwest or Northern California. She's extremely interesting. She's a go-getter. And she says, authenticity is why I shine so bright. My confidence, fearlessness, and success are direct reflections of me being my unapologetic and authentic self. I am as you see me, in other words. Ernest Holmes, of course, being a bit more obtuse, says, we automatically claim our freedom when we are convinced that we can use no mind except the creative mind of God, and we seek to create no limitation for our success. And that's from Questions and Answers on the Science of Mind, page 22, paragraph 5. In other words, Ernest Holmes says there is one mind in the whole of existence, and we can use that one mind. And Reverend Ryan says, I recently listened to a meditation that offered a process to move from constriction to embodied freedom. Constriction is something that we know all too well, the feeling of being squeezed by the expectations of others, the shoulds, the supposed to be's, all the things that seem to in direct opposition to our most authentic self. Such has become the norm in our daily existence. I said I won't comment as I go along, but for the sake of experiencing, I'm going to comment a little bit. In other words, we're actually not doing what we want to do, but doing things that we think we ought to do, as opposed to what we really want to do that benefit us. Brent Ryan goes on to say, but what if that didn't have to be the case? What if we gave ourselves not only permission to be ourselves, but the freedom to be as well? Can you feel the energy shift in just reading those words? The freedom to be. Whereas the feeling of constriction is familiar, what if we began to exercise that same familiarity with the concept of embodied freedom? This isn't a freedom from anything, but instead a freedom to do, to be, to express, to feel, or to experience something. Notice the difference. Freedom to do something creates space for us to explore, learn, make mistakes, apply, wash, rinse, repeat. The more we practice this, the more we begin to feel the effects of embodying freedom. We may just be able to create a little more space for our authentic selves in which to live and to move, and maybe even to do a little dance. Then we will be poised and ready to create the same experiences for others. This isn't just an individual adventure. We can't fully embrace our own freedom unless we're willing to create that same freedom in others. When we can move in that direction, we will begin to actualize the collective impact of embodied freedom. You know, I lived a lot of my life in the field of trying to please others. Why? Because I was brought up that way. My mother always wanted to please everybody. She didn't want to displease anybody. And she instilled in me, maybe directly or indirectly, to do the same thing. Therefore, when I went to school from, well, age 4 until 11, I was trying to please the nuns. They were the main ones who taught us. There were some lay teachers, but most of them were nuns. And then from being 11 through 17, it was St. Mary's College run by priests. Not all priests, there were a whole bunch of lay teachers there, but we're always trying to please, they called them masters, not teachers. We're always trying to please the masters and the fathers, the priests. And it's been really hard to get out of that. You know, often religion is what binds us into doing these things. We need to do this to please the Almighty. We need to do this to make sure that the Almighty is not angry with us. And a lot of people grew up with this concept of the deity. But the real truth is this, that the deity wants us to be ourselves. Why? Because you can imagine that if you were responsible for creating everything that existed, everything that you can imagine, you wouldn't just want to create a bunch of automatons that you told exactly what to do. No, you would want to experience different things. And therefore, as human beings, we are the experience that the divine is having of itself. So it makes sense that we should have the freedom to do these things. It's called free will. Of course, free will implies that we can do stuff that's not beneficial to others and ourselves, as well as stuff that is. Now, obviously, if we want to evolve as individuals and as human beings and as whatever, it pays to enact that freedom in, first of all, freeing ourselves and helping ourselves. And then, as Ryan's saying, once we have that base set, we can go out and help others to do the same. And what kind of world do you think we would live in if everybody exerted their freedom, first of all, to make themselves better, and then to help other people to be better? It would be a marvelous world. We wouldn't be operating all the time from ego. We'd be up, which was part of what was in tonight's class, actually. It would be operating from a place of freedom and a place of wonder. That's really all I've got to say tonight. The affirmation is, I fully embrace my own authenticity and create space for others to do the same. I fully embrace my own authenticity and create space for others to do the same. I'm worn out and I still have some more stuff to do. Therefore, I just want to say, take care of yourselves, because you are important. Whatever you think about yourself, you are important. You are an important person in this whole universe. You are an important person. Therefore, take care of yourselves. Yes, we all have a responsibility to take care of others. And it's true to say that charity, taking care of yourself, begins at home. It begins with you. It begins with me. And then we can help others. Until next time, namaste.